Today is July 17th, 2022. Let me start by saying that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. This set of slides is entitled I Sense a Great Insecurity in the Force, and it's going to talk about the NextBridge S1 and MMTLP, because there's been a lot of activity in the Meta family universe, I guess. I made a set of slides earlier on July 15th when the S1 was filed. This set of slides will not replicate the information that's in the July 15th slides. I urge everyone to watch that video if you have not seen it already. That video is the basis for everything as far as I'm concerned. That video is current, it's highlighted. It talks directly about what I think is going on with NextBridge. This set of slides is mostly to answer what I think are the most current questions that are going around about NextBridge and the S1, okay? But the July 15th slides tell you exactly, or the July 15th slides tell you exactly what I believe happens as far as NextBridge Hydrocarbons is going on with the S1, okay? So, check out, if you have not seen that video first, check it out, because it's good and it'll tell you everything that I think you really need to know, okay? That's it. Yesterday, there was a Twitter Spaces fam chat, which is great. Thank you, Syntax Queen of the Metaverse, for doing this. I intended to show up to that, but unfortunately I had other previous obligations and only showed up towards the end. But I think she did a great job of getting people together, seeing what their questions were, answering them to the best of to the best of the capability of everyone that was there. So so thank you, Syntax Queen of the Metaverse, for setting that up. It's been recorded, so you can hear it again. So check out that Twitter Spaces recording. Okay. So this video is because I think that there's a lot of questions out there. I think a lot of people have a lot of insecurities, right? Basically, what people are thinking is, and they don't understand, NextBridge is going to be it's not going to be tradable. So what happens? The other thing is, what do I do next? Is there a plan? Are we all doing something together? No, everyone has to make their own choices. Okay. Am I going to lose my shares? This thing has zero value. What does that mean? Is my broker going to take my shares away like Robinhood did? What's going on here? If you have Robinhood, you should seriously consider having a different broker, but whatever. That's just my opinion, of course, right? Anyway, and also the other question is, what's AST? How do I register my new shares with them? Is there a due date? How do I, what do I do? So first things first, I'm going to say, check out the S1 that's been filed with the SEC. The links are provided. It talks about NextBridge Hydrocarbons, and that should be your first source for information, right? That's what has the most current relevant information out there, okay? As far as I know, we currently just have MMTLP shares. Nothing has happened yet, okay? The MMTLP shares are what was once called the Series A preferred shares, and in fact, as far as NextBridge is concerned, on the perspective, as far as Metamaterials is concerned, they still refer to it as a Series A preferred share, so we'll not call it MMTLP. But the two are the same. It's been verified by John Brda. It's been verified by various stock brokerages, and the two are the same, right? Okay, and the S1 for NextBridge has been filed. That's the big thing that happened on Friday. Okay. Now, for a lot of people, they may not even know what an S1 is. Okay, so the S1 will create or define the securities of NextBridge Hydrocarbons through a prospectus method, right? And the prospectus will actually just define the security, and it'll tell you what type of business is represented by the company, okay? Basically, what the security, basically it's, there'll be a company, the security represents that company, right? And what type of business is that company doing? That's one of the first things that the prospectus has to tell you. That's why I repeat it over an over in my first video as to what the company was, right? It will also tell you about the assets they hold. In this case, it's the Oro Grande Basin leases, cash, etc., that kind of stuff. It'll give you info on financial statements. In the case of income statements or balance sheets, meaning, do they owe money? Yes, they owe some money to Metamaterials, who fronted some money up to them, right? Who are the key people, right? Who's management, right? Is it a bunch of yutzes, or are these people who are experienced? Yes, they're very experienced. They're top-tier guys. They're the guys from Torchlight before, basically. They're excellent people, okay? Number of shares that will be issued. We know that the number of shares is going to be exactly the same, basically, right? And are there plans for additional shares? The answer is yes, there could be additional plans for additional shares. And I talked about that in my previous video. I won't go over that now. Okay. And also, every prospectus has to tell you what the associated and relevant risks are, right? What can go wrong? Things aren't necessarily perfect, so they'll tell you what the risks are involved. Okay. So that's what an S1 is. That's what it defines. It defines via prospectus method what this new company is and the shares of that new company, right? That's what's been done. So at some point in the future, not now, but at some point in the future, if you're an MMTLP shareholder, you'll get a distribution of NextBridge Hydrocarbon shares. Okay. After that happens, the MMTLP shares will be retired. The only thing that's going to be left is NextBridge Hydrocarbons. Okay, so if you start with MMTLP first, you're going to get NextBridge Hydrocarbons. Okay, you're going to get shares of that, and then MMTLP goes bye-bye, and the only thing you got left is NextBridge Hydrocarbons. That's the plan. Okay, that's what's going to happen. And we know that NextBridge Hydrocarbons will not be tradable on any exchange, meaning you can't buy or sell NextBridge on any exchange. There won't be a bid-ask spread. There won't be a bid-ask price, okay? It doesn't mean you can't necessarily buy or sell the security of MMTLP. It's your security, right? If it's basically, you can do a private sale of anything. If you own a car, you can sell the car. If you own a pencil, you can sell a pencil, right? If you own a security, you can sell a security to someone via private sale, okay? No one can stop you from doing that. But there will not be an exchange where NextBridge Hydrocarbons will be traded, with a bid-ask spread, right? You'll have to find your own seller, or someone may come up to you and you may choose to sell to them, but it's a private sale, okay? That said, let's start looking at the S1 filing. If we look at page 25, and look at page 25 and 26, let's look at page 25 near the bottom. This is where I'm headed to, okay? We see the following words, okay? Street name or beneficial shareholders. Most Meta stockholders own their shares of the Series A preferred stock beneficially through a bank broker or other nominee, okay? 99% of people are holding their shares beneficially. That's just a given, okay? In these cases, the bank broker or other nominee holds the shares in street name and records your ownership on its books. If you own shares of the Series A preferred stock through a bank broker or other nominee, your bank broker or other nominee will credit your account with the whole shares of common stock that you receive in the distribution on or shortly after the distribution date, okay? That's what they have to do that by law. It's given, okay? However, our shares of common stock will not be eligible for electronic trading through DTC or any other established clearing corporation, okay? Therefore, we encourage you to contact your bank broker or other nominee to instruct such bank broker or other nominee to transfer the shares of Series A preferred stock to our transfer agent, such that each such holder of Series A preferred stock is the registered holder of the distributed shares of common stock in book entry form in a new account with our transfer agent. That's a very long sentence, and you may have fallen asleep as I've read that, but I will go over it in detail. Do not worry, okay? Let's start with the easy stuff first, okay? Your bank broker or nominee will credit your account with whole shares of our common stock, such that you receive in the distribution that you receive in the distribution on or shortly after the distribution date. If you have MMTLP shares, okay, then your broker will credit your account with the whole shares of NextBridge, okay, on or shortly after the distribution date. That's basically what that says, okay? In simplest terms, right? They'll credit your account with the correct number of shares on or shortly after the distribution date. You'll get those shares given. Okay? Now, the other part. Shares of our common stock will not be eligible for electronic trading through DTC or any other established corporation. You can't trade this stuff. It's not going to be tradable. Okay? So, we encourage you to contact your broker, okay, to instruct broker to transfer the shares of Series A preferred stock to our transfer agent. Each holder of Series A preferred stock is the registered holder of the distributed shares of common stock in book entry form and a new account with our transfer agent. Basically, they're saying that you can't trade NextBridge shares on any market. It won't be doable. You may as well keep the shares with the transfer agent, AST, American Stock Transfer. Then you can transfer the shares or do whatever you want with them, or do whatever you want with the NextBridge shares, right? So if you want to do a private sale with someone, then AST can help you to do that. Okay, now, the other thing is if you transfer your MMTLP shares to AST, they'll provide you with the new NextBridge shares. You don't even have to think about it at that point, okay? And that's what they encourage you to do. But in either case, your broker will give you the shares of NextBridge, but they won't be tradable. Okay? You might as well keep the shares with AST. Simple. Okay? That I couldn't put it any simpler than that. Shouldn't be confused. So, are you going to get your still people will probably ask, how do I know I'm going to get my shares? What about the shorts? Am I going to get screwed in this somehow? Simplest answer to that is, look, if you bought MMTLP shares, your funds clear in T+2 days, given. If you didn't buy your MMTLP shares and you got them via the Torchlight distribution, you got your Series A preferred shares. They're cleared. Okay, they're in your account. They got renamed to MMTLP. Okay? You don't have to worry about them being cleared. And if you bought your shares a long time ago, they're cleared. Okay? 2 days after, whenever you bought the MMTLP shares, the trade has been performed. So 2 days after the trade has been performed, the shares are in your account legally. Okay? That's it. You've got the shares. Now, if you choose to loan out your shares after that, you're taking on risk. That's you. That has nothing to do with the broker. That's you if you're loaning out your shares, okay? Am I loaning out shares? No. I'm not loaning out any shares, okay? Now, if you have a cash account, your broker can't loan out your shares for you. They're your shares, okay? They can't do things without your approval, okay? If you have a cash account, they're not going to be able to loan out your shares. So you have your shares. Now, if you choose to loan them out, that's your business. I personally do not loan them out. I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to tell you what to do with loaning out your shares or not. I am not loaning out my shares, okay? Now, what happens is that you have shorts, people who sell shares that they don't own, so they have to borrow them from people who do own the shares, okay? They pay borrow fees. So shorts borrow their shares from MMTLP owners. They pay borrow fees, okay? There are people and institutions who choose to loan out their shares. They take on risk in exchange for borrow fees. Basically, once they loan out their shares, those people who loan them out are essentially getting an IOU from the shorts, okay? They're saying, I owe you, whatever dividends is going to come from this MMTLP shares, okay? And I owe you the MMTLP shares back because I borrowed them from you. That's what the shorts are basically saying to the people who loan the shares from, and they're going to give them some borrow fees, okay? So, if you want to eliminate, so chances are the people who actually loaned out the shares to the shorts, they probably, at this point in time, They may be considering to eliminate the risk that the shorts won't be able to pay back their loan. Okay? They may want to recall their shares before the date of record. Likely they would. It would be considered the smart thing to do. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do if you have loaned out your shares. I don't encourage anyone to loan out their shares, okay? But chances are, the people who loan out their shares are considered sophisticated investors. They usually know what they're doing, and they probably have a hell of a lot more money than you or me, okay? They're typically institutions that are doing this, okay? Now, what this means that the shorts have to provide the shares that they borrowed back to the loaner, or close out their positions. And to close their positions, they have to buy to close, okay? The people who loan the shares, who loaned the shorts, the MMTLP shares, they're going to say, I want the shares back, man. Okay, I loaned them to you. Give them back to me because I don't want to be left holding this bag of nothing. So the shorts are going to have to provide back either, the shorts are either, if they want to maintain or keep their short position open, that means, and whoever they borrowed the shares from has recalled the shares, they need to do another locate. They need to find some more shares, okay? Either that or they need to close their short position, buy to close, okay? That's what they need to do. If they choose to keep their position open through the distribution, they're not going to buy to close yet. They're trying to locate some additional shares. They got to provide NextBridge shares back to their original loaner, right? The people who loan the shares to the shorts, after they recall the shares, the shorts have to provide them with shares. Now, they've already sold the shares, so they got to buy the shares from somewhere and provide those shares back, okay? Now, we also know that if the shorts keep their position open through the distribution, then they have to provide NextBridge shares, okay? There's only one place you can get NextBridge shares from, and that's from AST. And AST will only give the shares, AST will only give NextBridge shares to MMTLP shareholders, okay? So the only way for the shorts to close the only way for the shorts to deal with this stuff, because they cannot deliver NextBridge shares, is to close the MMTLP short position. At that point, they'll have no choice but to close it, right? And if they're going to be closing their position, a whole bunch of shorts are going to be closing their position, and if no one is selling them the shares for them to close, then it's quite possible that the MMTLP shares could reach very, very high numbers, okay? Because they can't find a place to buy the shares from, and they need to, because they won't be able to deliver NextBridge. And quite frankly, their broker is not going to allow them to have a liability of unknown value there, right? I mean, if you're a broker, are you going to take on the risks that these short hedge funds, who your clients, have decided to take on? Are you going to say, oh, okay, we'll take on your risk for you, Mr. Short Hedge Fund, or are you going to say, hey, deliver your shares or close your account? They're going to say, deliver your shares. They're not going to take a hit for the short hedge funds. Not going to happen. Okay. That's likely what's going to happen. Do I know that's going to happen for sure? No, I do not know. I'm not a financial advisor, okay? Not financial advice. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only, okay? This is what I believe will happen. That comes up with the question, can I just hold through all of this rigmarole? Can I just get my NextBridge shares? What happens if I hold, right? Can I just hold? And the answer to that is yeah, you can, actually. It's not a problem. Just make sure you're with a reputable broker. And the other thing you could possibly do is you can register your shares through AST, right? You can take your MMTLP shares, put them into AST, and register them with AST. And then AST will provide you the new shares. If you're with a reputable broker like Fidelity, I believe Fidelity will provide you with the NextBridge shares, okay? Now, all that said, it's possible that the MMTLP price could take off. You may want to think about selling some of your shares. You may want to think about selling all of your shares. At what price would it be worth for you to sell your shares? I don't know. I'm not you, okay? For me, I think, yeah, at some point I would definitely be selling, my shares. I did a calculation as to what I think an equivalent might be in terms of long-term versus short-term capital gains, and for me that number works out to around $75 or so that I would start selling my shares. Okay, that's where it works out for me. Okay, I live in California. That's where it is right now. Okay. Coincidentally enough, this seems to be approximately the same number that that Roller Pigeons also plans to sell her shares at. I'm not encouraging anyone to sell their shares or do anything at any price. Okay, I'm just letting you know that my number turned out to be very similar to Roller Pigeon's number. So, just FYI. Okay, but I'm not telling you what to do. Definitely not. Okay. This has been highlighted by John Brda as well too, right? Can I hold my shares? Can I get my NextBridge shares, right? What happens once I get my NextBridge shares, right? John Brda says, these are the high points, in my opinion. NextBridge will be private, no ticker, no DTC eligibility. Public filings due to number of holders, okay? You do have a large number of shareholders. It's public. And so you've got to have public filings, okay? The new management team is super strong and will be developing the field in the near term, okay? He has confidence in the new management team. He would know best because he knows them personally, okay? He personally knows these guys. These guys are the guys from Torchlight. These guys they're very well experienced, okay? They're very, very well experienced. Now, opinions continued, according to John Brda. NextBridge new management team will be 100% in charge of the direction of the company. This will be a new company that's spun out called NextBridge. You will have shares in that brand new company. It will be separate completely from Metamaterials. Okay. Now, that means it could stay private, go public down the road, sell out completely, pay dividends as production allows. All of these options are on the table for the new management. Keep that in mind, okay? It's very relevant. And thank you, John Brda, for tweeting this. I really appreciate it because it clarifies in no uncertain terms what you should expect, okay? Now, a lot of people are saying, hey, look, how can I be sure NextBridge is going to act in the preferred shareholders' best interest, Well, it's simple, right? John Brda says, all shareholders have rights. If you think they aren't acting in your best interests, vote out the board and elect a new board, okay? Which will then hire new management. It's pretty simple. That's straightforward. That's the way things operate. Shareholders have rights. Just because the shares are non-tradable doesn't mean you don't have rights. Okay. Thank you. It's very simple, okay? Now there's another comment over here. Okay, I'm looking into the S1 for MMTLP and also trying to figure out the best way forward for dealing with this transfer agent. If anyone has some clear thoughts on how to make sure you get credit in the company as a shareholder, if the company stays private, please chime in. This guy is very uncertain as to what's going on, right? And he wants to do the right thing. He's just not sure, okay? And a lot of people are not sure as to what the right thing to do is because, it's the first time through, okay? John Boo Boo has replied. He said, you're making it too complicated. Just call your broker, start the transfer, and it's done. And that's a fact. Just call your broker to start the transfer. It'll be done. It's done. Okay. Your shares give you ownership to the new private company. You don't need to do anything else. It's all done for you by your broker. You'll receive digital certs, and then wait for the sale of NextBridge or the assets. That's it. It's really all that's needed. Okay. And John Brda says, correct. You'll get an account statement from AST mailed to you once the distribution takes place. Done. That's all you need to do. Okay? It's not that complicated. Work it out. Okay? And also, another question is, how will shareholders be paid for their shares once the spin-out is complete and NextBridge is private? Is there a plan for a share buyback? Do I just hold until it's sold? And basically, John Brda lays it out for you, right? If you haven't sold your shares via MMTLP and elect to go long NextBridge, you're now an owner in NextBridge, and their management team will decide the course of action. whether that's staying private, going public, sell, pay dividends, it's all up to NextBridge. Okay, you're an owner in NextBridge. The management team's going to decide. If you don't like the management team, elect a new board of directors and tell them to kick out the management team and put a different team in there. Okay, that's the way it works. Now, finally, John Brda has made a final tweet on July 16th. And he says, I won't be tweeting about the S1 or anything related to Meta from now on. Okay, I'm not ignoring anyone. Looking forward to completion. Best to all of you. Okay, I have lots to say about my other projects, so stay tuned. Okay, and Syntax happened to tweet back to John Brda a statement that I think everyone echoes. And I think we all feel the same way. We'll miss you. We'll miss your MMAT chats. We're excited to hear what you're up to next. Okay, we believe in you, John Brda. Also, the one thing that you've not done professionally would be, what's the one thing you've not done professionally that you'd love to tackle? And he says, well, at some point, I'd like to spend more time with some charitable causes, including helping out others with some great ideas to get started. Okay, there you go. Thank you, John Brda, for all you've done, and I personally appreciate all the tweets that you've done. So thank you very much. And we really appreciate what you've done. So can't say anything more. I'm left without words at that point. Thank you, John Brda, for everything. That's all I can say. Okay, now about NextBridge hydrocarbons. Okay, one of the things you should look at definitely on the SEC filing of the S1 is pages 4, 5, and 6, because they give you an overall summary of everything. Okay, they tell you who the distributing company is. It's Metamaterials. They tell you what the company is going to be called. NextBridge. It's a Nevada company, wholly owned subsidiary of Meta prior to the distribution. At the time of the distribution, we will hold directly or through our wholly owned subsidiaries assets and liabilities of the oil and natural gas business of Meta. After the spin-off, NextBridge will be an independent, non-trading public reporting company. After the spin-off, NextBridge will be a non-trading, independent public reporting company. Keep that in mind. Okay. Gives you all the other information. The number of shares, 165,523, etc. Right. Gives you, some stuff is blank because the dates aren't there yet. Keep this in mind. Read page 4, 5, and 6 if you don't read anything else. And as the addendums are put in, they'll put updates to that summary of the spin-off. Just make sure you understand what's going on, okay? Now, in my previous video on the 15th, I believe, I said the number of shares I had in my calculation was incorrect, and it is incorrect. It was 165. It's 165 million plus shares. This calculation used 164 million. I redid the calculation, just FYI, with 165 million shares, and the numbers didn't change very much. Okay, here's the old chart with the old numbers. I removed the $30 price point, and I put some more price points in above $100, essentially, right? So we've got some more detail all the way up to $120, from... We've got high resolution detail or higher resolution detail from $80 to $120 in $5 increments, and after that we move in $10 increments. So the numbers have not changed very much as far as what the expected value of the dividend would be, of the expected value of the final dividend. Right? This is after NextBridge does whatever. The value of the land. The value of that oil land, I'm guessing, or I'm calculating that it's around this price point, based upon the number of shares, the cost to actually get the oil out of the ground, the estimated number of reserves, the discount for the oil in the ground, and the 49% revenue interest, right? The corporate tax rate is 0% because this is the non-taxable event that this set of calculations is based on. And the natural gas value is 0, so it will probably be higher than this, But this is what I think would be good, okay? In either case, I am not going over the calculations of this. I'll do that in a different video later on, okay? But essentially, They're almost the same numbers. There's very little difference. So if you look at the bottom number, $40 is $5.13 versus $5.12. Almost no difference, right? At $100, you're talking about $66.50 valuation versus previously we were talking at $100 of $66.74. Almost no difference. Okay, very little difference. But in either case, I did update the numbers. If you want, you can have a look at them. I'll do another video about how I calculate the numbers later on, okay? I'll provide a link to how I calculated the original numbers with the 164 million shares, and you can check that out if you want to, okay? And that's it. That's all I have to say about MMTLP and the NextBridge S1. Hopefully this will have helped provide more clarity in the space and give you more understanding. This is the understanding that I have. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. And that's it. Goodbye, and thank you very much.